Morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Mark Gadari, and I'm my partner here with Lisa. And we're a part of the experiential workshop here. Thank you for showing up excited. And you guys all spent all last night reading the cases. I didn't have to hand out anything for anyone to look over, so we really appreciate that. So a little bit about myself. I'm here in Tampa, like you guys, over at the University of South Florida. I finished up in their Master's of Entrepreneurship program in 2016, and I'm also currently a doctoral candidate in their Doctor of Business Administration program. I am an entrepreneur also. I'm ex-military, so I have a military contract business here in the area, equipment, and we focus on providing medical devices to the VA specifically. I also have a nonprofit. My undergrad was at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, so I've established a nonprofit foundation over there since 2011. We provide scholarship funds to a lot of the other undergraduates over there. So that's just a way for me to kind of hit both ends, get back to my alma mater. So I encourage a lot of you guys to do, consider some of the same things. Lisa.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Lisa Baperna, and I teach in the School of Physical Therapy and Athletic Training at Old Dominion University. Have any of you heard of that university before? And maybe a little bit more tonight, because we're playing Virginia Tech, and we're not the same size, we're not the same speed, we don't have as much experience, but we have an amazing track record of upsetting the odds and taking sometimes games that should have either been blowouts or very, very close, and we've turned the tables on people, so stay tuned. You might have some surprises tonight. I'm also an entrepreneur, and my most recent activity actually was at Old Dominion University when I got the opportunity to come there and actually launch a physical therapy clinic in a school that doesn't have any healthcare infrastructure at all. So I had some experience opening clinics in the private sector, but to come into a university campus and understand how to navigate a university and bring a model that is very, very successful in the community to our campus to be able to serve people around the area who needed PT, educate our students, and then also conduct research. And there was a really, really fun project, and we actually developed a model that we're using to pivot off now and launch other opportunities like this at the university, either for traditional entrepreneurship or social entrepreneurship. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that throughout the session today. But before we get started, I'm really, really grateful that you all were willing to come in to give us the experience today, to be able to do some of the things we were here to learn about. So to come up on a Saturday morning, bright and early, just thank you very much. So I'd like to start in the back of the room and just have everybody, will go around, just tell me your name, what your major or your role is here, and something that nobody else in this room knows about you, and that you wouldn't be embarrassed if it showed up on Facebook or the front page of the paper. So just something unique or fun feature about you. It can be anything at all, but it will just help me remember a little bit about you, and as I'm learning your names, to be able to pronounce them correctly. So we'll start in the back. Wait, one more. And speak loudly too, so I can hear.
Okay, so my name is Natalia, I'm from Poland.
A little bit louder.
My name is Natalia, I'm from Poland, and my major is International Business and Finance.
Okay.
Fun facts.
Something, it can be about Poland, anything about you, just something that people in this room don't already know about you. Say what?
I don't know.
Tell me something about Poland, because I don't know very much about that.
The capital is Warsaw.
Okay, thank you. So the capital is Warsaw. Does everybody know? All right, next.
My name is Darren. I'm a marketing major.
That's okay.
I'm a senior. Fun fact.
It could be anything.
What do you do for fun? You gotta do something.
I spell cross team here.
Okay. That's good for you.
Right.
I am Lisa. My major is education, and I love karaoke.
You look very familiar.
Hi, my name is Jackie. My major is Business Management,
Are you guys gonna let him skip? Are you gonna skip your school?
I'm teaching, so.
That's okay. I mean,
Oh, okay, fine. I'm Paul Benedict. I teach entrepreneurship at Ohio University. You'll hear from me in a little bit. Fun fact, I've met a couple of presidents, been in Oval Office. most intimidated I've ever been was pitching a company at Google.
My name's Sean. I'm a political science major in ICB.
My name is Maya. I'm a business management entrepreneur.
Business manager.
Yeah. I'm on the soccer team.
Good for you.
I'm Ia. I'm in international business and marketing. Started acting
I'm class 12. My major is international business management and something interesting about this Venezuela or or anything.
I'm graduating this semester.
Good for you.
My name is Aziz. I'm an international business and entrepreneurship major. Just in fact, I went to military high school. My name is Juliani. I'm an international business and entrepreneurship major as well. I have an interesting bag. I can play 3 instruments.
Fantastic.
I'm Ray. I'm an entrepreneurship major, and I like to play golf.
My name is Hille. I'm from Denmark. I'm an MBA student, and 8 years ago I worked on a cruise ship.
That must have been fun.
Was.
My name's Corey. I'm a marketing and management major. Fun fact about me is I've had 3 surgeries, knee surgeries in the past 4 years.
Let me know if I can.
Just for fun.
I'm Mike. I'm an accounting major, and I love Mexican food.
Colin from Sarasota, finance major, graduating this semester.
Congratulations.
I'm Sean, I'm a business management major, and I'm a lacrosse keeper.
I'm Nathan. I'm a finance major. I play golf for my
I'm Britt. I'm a marketing major and I'm from Stanford, Connecticut.
What, something special, fun fact?
I used to cheer in high school.
I am Catherine. I'm from Connecticut. I'm a management major, and fun fact is I never worked for
You can explain a little bit. You won't need to say things right now.
I'm G from my major Canada. I'm actually school.
Like for golf, did you say you guys agree?
I'm Fahad. I'm from Kuwait. My major is business marketing, international business and management. I love playing soccer.
You love playing soccer? Good.
My name is Chongyi Liang from China. Marketing major, and fun fact about me is when I was 5 years old, I kind of stole myself from like 10 minutes ago.
You did what?
I stole myself, so I kind of traveled back in time.
Oh, you traveled back in time? Is it an adventure?
I mean, I still remember it.
That's awesome.
No explanation.
Okay.
That is amazing.
My name is Monica. I'm from Bolivia. I'm part of the MS in Entrepreneurship program, and I play tennis.
I'm Dima. I'm from Saudi Arabia. My major is entrepreneurship. I love reading.
You love reading? Great.
My name is Sasha. I'm from Russia, and I'm from MS in entrepreneurship too. And I'm freezing here all the time.
Me too. Me too. Go ahead.
I'm Giles Hertz, and my fun fact is that almost 20 years ago I was standing where you are in this program.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate your feedback.
I'm Don. Didn't really participate, so there's a fun fact.
Okay. And
Hi, I'm Carl.
can you put your name tag back up?
I'm Carl. I wrote my first entrepreneurship case in 1960.
Excellent. Well, this is a very global class, and it's great for us just to know a little bit more about your background. So today we're going to talk to you about the nature of opportunities and give you some tools in your toolbox so that you would have a better understanding of the nature of opportunities when you leave. So we're going to start with just a little icebreaker activity. We'll have an image up on the screen, and hopefully it will come up pretty quickly. And while we're waiting for that to load, I'll tell you a little story about an opportunity that I had as a freshman, because I also played tennis in college and competed. And I broke my ankle during the second match of the season. And so it was hard to have things in a backpack, and we had cobblestone walkways sort of like you do. So walking on crutches and having things on your backpack, if you need to have something in your hands that's hard to get, there wasn't something at that time that just made it easily accessible to get something that you needed. So I taped a Solo cup to my crutches, put my water in it, put keys in it, whatever I had that I needed to get, and hobbled around campus. And I thought, boy, this could be a good business opportunity, but I never did anything about it. And now are there little crutch packs and everything else out there, where my tape and solo cup was out there before the industry started supporting this. So I had an opportunity and I blew it. So I hope today we can teach you guys some things about opportunities that you can build upon and maybe not miss an opportunity that's there. So what is this? Do you guys know? It's a cheese grater, right? So that's usually what you use it for. On the back of your piece of paper, or you can do it on your little tent that you made. I'm just going to give you 30 seconds to tell me at least 15 other things you can do with that cheese grater besides grate food. So you can't say grate vegetables or something else. So what else could you do with that cheese grater?
Anything that's maybe non-food related.
Yep.
So we got quite a few entrepreneurs in here, so we should get some really good stuff, but really doesn't matter. Just use your imagination.
Come on, you guys, wake up. And I'm going to ask for some ideas.
Whoever's done, raise your hand. Yeah.
You can say one.
What do you
I'm
have?
hoping for
What do you got?
about 15.
What do you got? Yeah, go ahead.
All right, everybody just look up. It's okay if you don't have 15 things, but I want you to think out of the box a little bit. How many people had at least one? Good. How many had 2? 5? Good. 10? Okay, what were some of the things? You can just raise your hand and shout it out. Self-defense. Okay, a weapon. Okay.
What do you got?
To hide something.
To hide something. Okay.
To punish rapists? Okay, that's good. That's creative. Maya?
To use as like a cookie, like cutter.
Like a cookie cutter? Great idea.
Okay.
What else could you do with it? Yes.
Great dead skin off your feet, like a peg.
Yeah, it's like a pet. I thought about that one too.
That would be me. That would be me.
What were you thinking? A musical instrument? Fantastic. What else?
Design furniture to make it all.
Very good. Anything else that somebody would really like to share?
I saw some other hands back here.
Did we miss anybody who wanted to share? Go ahead.
To trap a small animal.
Just trap a small animal? Very good. All right. So did anybody who didn't speak up, go ahead. Envision that. So you know what that is? It's just a decorative light that maybe somebody might put in their kitchen. So the possibilities are endless, but sometimes we get stuck in something that's out there and we're sort of used to seeing it in one way and maybe not necessarily thinking about another application for something that's out there. So that ties into this case a little bit that you all read, right? Did everybody get a case before you came here today called IntelliFit? You didn't get anything? Okay. Well, we can walk you through it a little bit if you didn't have any background with it. So we're going to show you a little video. The case actually was called IntelliFit, and it talked about an application for technology that was invented. And this was something that came out to help with airport security or security in different venues. And you guys might not know it, but many years ago, how many of you have flown on a plane? A lot of international students for sure, right? Did you go through some kind of security checkpoint? Okay. When I worked with the Olympic Committee back in the 1990s and the 96 Olympics were here in Atlanta, I was responsible for taking care of USA field hockey and had to travel all over the world. So we were in venues like Australia and Argentina and places. And at that time, airport security was nothing like it is now. I could walk on an airplane with my medical bag and it could have scalpels, syringes, IVs, and nobody ever bothered. Scissors, everything was in there. What changed that makes that not be okay now? Can you get that up?
You ready? Okay.
What changed? 9/11. And even before that, there were some measures of security. Why? Did something, yeah, there were hijackings, there were bombs on planes. Something happened to say to people, we need to increase security on these planes, right? Because it didn't always used to be this way. We might be having some technical difficulties here. Let's see.
That's all right.
So we'll give you a little bit of background of the technology that started the case.
If we can get some sound, I guess we don't have any sound.
Rotating that sound button on the panel.
Okay.
To see underneath the passenger's
Can you guys see okay with the light on?
weapons, explosives, or any other threatening device. Some people call it a breakthrough, others call it an invasion of privacy. Ellen Howes with the Transportation Security Administration. Ellen, good morning to you.
Hi, Matt.
Talk to me about the technology. Real quickly, how does it work?
A passenger steps into the machine and it bounces radio waves off your body.
Harmless waves?
Harmless radio waves, less than even a cell phone call. So those radio waves are then transmitted to a remote location where another security officer will view a 3D image of the person and be able to see if they have anything hidden under their
Graphic
clothes.
an image is that person viewing of the person beneath the clothing?
It looks like a fuzzy photo negative.
Okay. Now we should mention this device is being used for people who have set off an alarm at the regular checkpoint, correct?
Not necessarily.
So
no.
anybody can go in?
Anybody can go in. It will be a random selection of people, but it is in the primary. It'll either be before the walk-through metal detector or after, depending on the airport.
And the passenger has an option of using this new technology or going through a routine physical pat-down, correct?
Right.
All right, we've got Eric and Kathy here who have volunteered to go through this device for us. So Eric and Kathy, one at a time, and again, this is screened by someone at another location. Why don't you head in, okay?
Okay, so do you guys get the sense of what this is? Does everybody have a pretty good idea of that initial application for technology? So some technology was developed to help get a better understanding if somebody might have been hiding a weapon or something, okay? Then somebody had an idea about the same time that this was coming about that maybe this technology could be used for something else because it had the ability to scan and get measurements of a body. So have any of you ever gone into a store and tried on some clothes and thought they were going to fit, but they didn't? Okay. Have any of you ever bought some clothes online, thought they were going to fit and they didn't? So is there a need maybe to have a better way to know if something could fit you properly? Like maybe tape measure, things like that. Well, there was a company where they used to take measurements, 38 measurements, put that data into a computer, and then tell the people what their sizes were, like what they actually needed to buy. Is that very efficient? For the people's time, for the person getting measured 38 times, and for the person who's doing it and then having to load it into a computer? Not necessarily. So there was an opportunity, maybe somebody thought, to utilize the same type of technology that could scan a body and possibly get measurements to use another application and see if they could get those measurements more quickly and efficiently and more precisely. Okay.
So for the entrepreneur students here, or anyone, what is, again, from what the case talked about, what is the need that's being addressed?
Now, they didn't read the case, remember.
They had a case.
I don't think you guys got it. Is that right?
Some have.
Yeah.
Some have it, some don't. Okay.
So when we say need, what
they said
exactly are we
nobody did.
talking about? What's the need that this technology addressed in this case? Say it again? Efficiency of what? Efficiency of shopping experience. What is that? Okay, save people time and money. Why is it important to save people time and money when shopping?
Right, so they might not have to go back and return things as often. Well, let's back up a little bit more for just a second. So that, in the nutshell of what we just kind of talked about, there was an opportunity where something was designed for one purpose, originally rolled out on the market for one purpose, and then somebody thought that it might be useful in another way, right? And it may or may not be. We don't necessarily have to decide that right now. Was that an entrepreneurial idea or a thought, some kind of opportunity maybe to use something that was there in another way? Anybody think it could be an opportunity? What is an opportunity? What would you say an opportunity is? A chance to pursue something, okay? Do something new? A what?
Uncaptured value.
Uncaptured value, that's a good way. Anybody else have an idea? Can you, rather than me asking it that way, have any of you ever had an opportunity to do something? You've
So
had
who-
an opportunity to do something? Can you think of one example?
Regardless of major, has anyone developed anything? Or do any of the entrepreneurs, anyone else have any kind of business idea or technology that they've brought something forward?
All right,
What's
I'm
your
gonna-
idea?
My idea is Antikafeno. In Russia, I found it. It was an export company.
Okay, and why did you do that?
If you mean that I had the opportunity, then yeah, but also I needed money.
Right.
There you go.
So you saw something that helped, that could possibly provide you money, so it was an opportunity, right?
Right, so a favorable time for something, you had a chance to do something you thought that there was a need. So would you consider yourself an entrepreneur?
I hope so.
Okay. Does anybody else in this room consider themselves to be an entrepreneur? Okay, if you do, raise your hand. All right, one of my other hopes for this objective, we talked about opportunities, like we wanted to talk to you guys about the nature of an opportunity. I really hope that by the end of this presentation today that you all will raise your hand when I ask that question again, how many entrepreneurs are in this room? Because every single one of you has the potential to see an opportunity and act on that opportunity. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about, okay? So I want to try to empower you to not necessarily focus so much on the case that some of you had and some of you don't. It was just an example, and I thought when I had asked the question at the beginning if everybody had it, everybody had said no. But I see now that some of you did have it and some of you don't, and that's okay. Because we're not really specifically going to talk about the details of that case, so I don't want anybody who doesn't have it to worry and think that you were missing something or that you won't be able to participate in this class and get value, because you will. So an opportunity is something where there's a favorable condition for something to happen, and we don't necessarily know what it is, or it could be multiple things right now. So how, somebody that's just in the room right now studying many different things, tell me about some opportunities that you've had in your own life. Just anybody. What's one opportunity? Do you have an opportunity to come to this amazing university? For sure.
I had the opportunity to study abroad.
Okay, an opportunity to study abroad. What else was an opportunity?
Ray, tell me a little bit about golf. What was your opportunity to play golf?
My parents enabled, like letting me.
And what has golf allowed you? What opportunities have golf allowed you?
A hobby, something that I can make friends or whatever.
Okay. Nathan, tell me a little bit about what opportunities you've had. Where are you from, Nathan? Trinidad. Okay, that's a small island, right? Okay. I'm from the bigger island, Jamaica. I'm teasing it. So what opportunities have you had? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then he made me start playing golf when I was 6, and my sister also was 3 years older than me. And then we both proceeded to excel at golf. And
So you're on the PGA Tour now, is that?
I played for my country when I was a
Okay.
kid.
Mm-hmm.
My sister plays for my country every year.
Okay.
And then she turned pro. So it was just an opportunity from just my father getting golf lessons.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody else want to share an opportunity? So you know it's something out there that something can happen from whatever it is that you observe. How would you capitalize on an opportunity? What kind of things could help you capitalize on that? Do you first maybe have to recognize that there could be an opportunity? Okay, so we'll say that. What else might you have to do? I can spell. So how could you do it? You could recognize it. Yes.
Take some risks.
Take some risks, okay. We won't necessarily talk about risk too much, but that is something definitely good to think about.
To have the ability to improve something.
To improve something? Okay, so maybe to take something that's already there and improve it, maybe like on this technology that we talked about, so improve, okay. Keep that down here for a second. What else? Network. What do you mean by network?
Well, the opportunity, if you have an opportunity, networking would be like conversing with people in that specific field or who have more knowledge.
Right, like once you sort of have the idea that it could be an opportunity, but how would you discover, like how, and that might be a way, kind of discover something, right? Recognize something or maybe discover it. Yes?
Persistence.
Persistent, okay, be very persistent. What else? Do what with options?
Like weigh it out.
Weigh out your options. Okay, so those are things that you're doing to try to see if there's value, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But recognizing an opportunity, we said discovering an opportunity. What else?
I was thinking about getting a return, because then you know that it's, that it's an opportunity. If you see a return, or if you see success, or
What is a return? What are you getting at with that? A return?
either be return on your investment, or it could be other measurements.
Do you want some water?
Like, happy employees, or that you're actually selling something in the business.
Right.
A lot of different things in return.
So what do you think the developers of this technology, and just so you know, they all have the case from prior to us coming into the room on the table. So those of you who got a chance to look over it, what was the opportunity that the creators of this technology saw? Since we've kind of talked a little bit about opportunity already. They've had to see something. Go ahead. I mean, we've talked about it already, so it's not, yeah.
Higher returns.
Hi-
People who buy clothes with high percentage of payback return them because of size
Right.
problems. So they saw an opportunity to increase returns for shoppers.
Right, so higher returns. Now, one of the things like a lot of guys maybe, and I don't mean to generalize, I know I don't really think about, as far as I'm concerned, if I go to the Gap or Nordstrom's, I'm just gonna go get a size whatever pants, and it works. I didn't really realize that there's other shoppers, women in particular, that may have sometimes different stores that they have to go to, and it's different manufacturers, different sizes, so you're talking about something interesting there when you say as far as returns and the opportunity. What else is there that they saw with this opportunity? Go ahead, Sasha.
I think it's great possibility to save time, money, and energy.
Okay, time.
Okay,
money,
so there's the
okay.
potential to save time, money, and energy. So they were alert to a potential opportunity. They recognized something that might happen. You could also discover an opportunity, okay? So you could also create your own opportunity. So do you all think that after this hurricane that just came through North and South Carolina had a very negative impact on that community, that there could be an opportunity to create something that's needed to help people in that area that they don't have now? Okay, so you might not always be thinking about it just from a pure business that needs to have an opportunity to pivot. There can just be situations that happen in life that require something to be different. So what is a drone often used for? Some of it's military things, some of it's checking out situations. Do you know now they use drones to go over these hurricane areas to look for people to see if anybody's in trouble? They can actually deliver an automatic external defibrillator to a scene where somebody needs CPR to take that there to help them in an emergency situation, which is pretty amazing. And that was not the original intent of that technology, but something pivoted again and happened. So there can be opportunities that you can recognize, but is everything you see, just because it looks like a good idea or it might make it faster to get clothes for people who want to have custom fit clothes. What could be some barriers or things that might make you pause and say, maybe this isn't a good opportunity in any situation? The accuracy of what?
Of the clothes fit, because, for example, like if you were to go into that technology, I feel like people would just assume it's accurate, but you don't know the extent to which I feel like certain garments with different parts of your body would need to be more, like it was shorter than others. So it could you could just go in the machine, buy some garments, and then it could tend to be inaccurate in terms of how you wanted it to fit.
Okay. What else?
Go ahead.
Analyzing the market, see if there's a market for the.
So you're going to find out if there's a need. So maybe if there's no need, you might not want to do it.
And,
right?
and he's touching on something else too, as far as the market here. Sasha, when you were thinking about this import-export business, why did you choose that versus some other kind of business to make money?
Well, actually, I'm working in logistics firm since 17 years old, so that's the only thing I know.
Okay, okay.
That's why I decided to do that.
Okay, all right. Well, fair enough, fair enough. Okay, so that's the only thing that she knows. One of the things you were mentioning back there is the size, right? Correct? Is that what you were saying?
What was that?
Yeah, yeah. How large the opportunity is.
Yeah.
Okay. But what do you mean by that?
You know, do your research, see like if there's a market for it, if people actually are willing to buy the product before you just go out, you know, sorry, money, it's just makes it no one actually needs.
All right, so from an entrepreneur standpoint, it's important that we evaluate the actual size of the market or the size of the opportunity that we're looking at, which is what I was trying to get at with you, which is okay. You know, some people say, look, this is what I know how to do, so I'm going to go ahead and create something out of that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's many different roads to entrepreneurship. But one of the different scientific ways or the academic ways you're taught here is to evaluate the market size. So when we looked at the case specifically, do you think that the developers maybe thought about the size of this? Possibly, look, there's how many hundreds and thousands of stores across the country or the world that this could be a potential application for. And when you take a look at one of the examples, I was talking with Lisa yesterday, all of us here, as I'm looking around, we have phones, right? A lot of us have iPhones and Samsung or whatever the case may be. A lot of the developers and the companies, they utilize the resources that they have. As your classmate said back here, not frivolously. They really look at where the potential is. Last week, I believe it was, Apple announced that they have 3 new phones on the market. And we can argue about whether or not this one is better than Samsung and the screen and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, the researchers in these companies are looking at the potential for impact, because if a phone costs $1,000 and we have a population of 300 million people in the United States, that's a lot of money. I think we would all agree, correct? All right.
Mm-hmm. So we've talked about some things that can be sources of, we'll say, new social need. Do that very well. There are some things that might draw you to pursuing an opportunity, and there are some things that might make you say that's just not a good idea. How do you know, without knowing any specifics or evaluations and things like that, what do you need to know if something's going to be a good opportunity or not? Do you think that the thing that you're trying to do should have an impact in any way? Some kind of positive impact? Okay, so what if we say impact over here? And do you think it should be doable? If it's going to be an opportunity, should there be a reasonable way to do it? So we could call that feasibility, right? All right. And then we could have very low chance of something happening, very high chance of something happening, very low impact on something, or very high impact on something. What do you think in this area here would be a good opportunity? Something has very low feasibility and very low impact. Would that be something that would be worth you maybe taking a risk on to develop? Okay, if there was something that had a very low feasibility but high impact, so it might be a very good thing. Like, let's just say that security thing that we looked at the very beginning in that video, say that it could have a very positive impact, but it was just so cost prohibitive, or there was some way it was not feasible. Would that be a good opportunity? Okay, so you have to kind of think of that. Does that make a little bit of sense? All right, what if you had a situation where it was a low feasibility but high impact? Well, I said that one. How about high feasibility and high impact? If something was very feasible to do and it very much could be done, how would that be for an opportunity? Of all of the choices, what do you think would be the best opportunity? So, this one? Okay. So, how many of you think that that would be the case? Okay. Now, from thinking about how we've talked about entrepreneurship and things now, how many of you view yourselves as entrepreneurs? Same number as the beginning? Okay. For those of you that haven't raised your hands yet, do you think you have the capacity to pursue an opportunity if you saw one and recognized one? Okay. Do you think you have the possibility to make a difference with something? Or have an idea that you could pursue to possibly have a positive change? Okay? If you said yes to that, you are an entrepreneur and you have the capacity to be an entrepreneur because every single one of us has the ability to do that. Okay? How many of you feel a little bit more inspired to try to be an entrepreneur? Would you be a little bit less fearful if, for those of you that maybe were a language major or somebody who wasn't in business, would any of you feel that you had some potential based on opportunities you've had in your own life before, things that you can relate to that aren't necessarily part of a business or marketing class? Do you feel that you could be a little bit more empowered to look at something as an opportunity and potentially pursue it, even if you don't know all the pieces in a business model to do that? Okay. And do any of you feel that you could have the capacity to do something to make a positive change in one way or another? What would you say? Yes? Okay. And why would you say that?
It's like we gain more information. It's like it's not brand new to us, so we can actually use the tools that we learn to make an impact on the players in the world.
Okay. So something you don't necessarily have to know all the how-tos, and somebody had said it before earlier too, you can network if there's an area that you don't have the skill that it might take to get all the way across the finish line and go from an idea in a business all the way to the inception of it. That's not necessarily something you have to do all by yourself because there are resources to do it. So the thing that we do want you to recognize is that there are opportunities and that we want you to be able to recognize that there could be an opportunity, discover that there could be an opportunity, and create an opportunity. If there's a need out there maybe that hasn't been thought about, that you could actually do that.
So as we explore again, because you hear us saying opportunity a lot, let's pause for a second. I'm going to use you again as an example. As you said, okay, Mark, I worked in this industry, so I know it, so I'm going to go after it. But there's two other things that we got to keep in mind in regards to opportunity is limitations and competition. So limitations could be a strength also. I've worked in this industry, so I'm going to go ahead and go after this thing. And some people could say, okay, well that's a strength, right? So you know the industry. But could it be a limitation also? And maybe why so?
Well, because you start the thing structurized.
Right.
And after that, of course, when you start to do something, you start to do it as the other people.
Right.
My idea was make it different, and I saw the flaws of another companies, and I knew how to work with that.
So that other company, is that company your partner, or is that company competition? So that's another thing too when we're evaluating opportunity, right? We have to think about what are the potential limitations and also what's the competition, and are we in a position to overcome that? And as entrepreneurs, one of the things, and I'm saying as entrepreneurs, I know all of you are not, but when you are examining entrepreneur opportunities, the entrepreneur specifically, we can do it, I don't care, I'll stay up all night, and that's not necessarily how it is. You know, when you're developing something, there is actually a very long road and process, and there's a lot of more valleys than there are peaks. But again, you have to take a look at what the competition is, and can you really match up, you know, with the competition.
Okay. So I want you all, before we finish up, we're just down to about a minute. Is that right on your timer?
5 minutes.
Oh, we've got 5. Okay, so we have a little bit more time to talk about things. As far as we talked about, one of the objectives was for you to understand the nature of an opportunity. Can you tell me some of the things that you think now what the nature of an opportunity is. Not necessarily specific to this case, but what is an opportunity? We talked about it early on here, that it was a favorable time for something. So for something to be favorable, what does it have to have? High impact and high feasibility is definitely something that would help you sort of say, yes, I want to go ahead and try to pursue this more. Now, there may be little bumps along the way. What else would you want to look at? That's a very good point that you recognize that. What else? The what?
You have to feel it.
You have to have that fire in your belly? Yes.
Yeah, you have to, like, I don't know, I know that it's the right time.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. And sometimes an entrepreneur could have that fire in their belly. They're seeing something, everything is saying yes, 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 and then somebody comes and crunches numbers and says no, 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 but there's just something inside you that says that that is something you should pursue. You really need to think about that balance, and if it's that much of a fire in your belly and you're willing to take the risk for it, that can be something that could just be an amazing opportunity. So don't be afraid to take that leap. And that's where sometimes a lot of people get stuck. I kind of was in that someday maybe I could do something about this solo cup that I taped around my crutch. And I waited too long for that someday, and somebody else did it. So don't be afraid when you have an idea to start to investigate it, see if it works. If it's saying to you that it's a good opportunity, you can get some help and explore it a little more, but take that step to try to figure it out, because I heard a good quote yesterday that someday is not one of the 7 days of the week that we operate in this calendar. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and someday is not one of them. So to take the opportunity to do something when that opportunity is there.
And what you're talking about is the window of opportunity specifically.
Very good.
So wrapping everything up, and again with this case and this technology that these people have created, we've wrote down a couple of different things here that hopefully will draw out some of the essence of what the case was and the entrepreneurial opportunity that they saw. The inventors there, they definitely saw a need in the marketplace, right? And we kind of talked a little bit about what that need was and what the actual nature of the opportunity was, because again, we know all shoppers don't necessarily go into the marketplace and can get exactly what they need. And this technology can provide the opportunity to be perfectly sized at any particular retailer or vendor that associates with that particular, invention. The size of the market, we talked a little bit about what the marketplace is like. And this is a global marketplace that if the technology definitely moves forward, it could be a global impact of the technology. Limitations. What could be the potential limitations of this technology? Because have we seen this in the marketplace? I mean, I haven't seen it. So what could be the limitations in the marketplace? Okay, that's correct. Long lines. Money. Well, when you say money, what do you mean?
If you don't have enough money, it's a limitation.
To develop the product.
To develop, to make marketing, just for everything.
Okay, so how would someone with this type of technology overcome a limitation? Because obviously this is something that will probably be pretty expensive to develop. Okay.
And that brings me to a question too. We've got one more minute to wrap up, and then we'll get to your question. So for those of you who read the case or have an understanding now that there was this technology that could potentially measure things, who was the customer for that booth that could end up in a retail store or in a mall somewhere, a little strip shop, or just in different places these booths could end up? Who was the actual customer for that? Okay, so moms and plus size people would use it, right? They would actually get into the device. Who was the customer? The stores were actually the ones that are buying it. So the customer for your opportunity or thing doesn't always equal the user. And I think that's another point, that even though we didn't necessarily talk about it as one of the couple things that I wanted you to remember at the very beginning here, or to be able to get out the nature of the opportunity, it is very important to understand that your customer is not always going to be the user of the device that might be invented, or utilize. Does that make sense? Right. So do all of you feel that you have a better understanding of what the nature of an opportunity is? And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go out and create the next most exciting business opportunity in this world. But you have to be able to recognize an opportunity or create one. Or just be able to, I think, have that awareness. Increase your awareness of when an opportunity might be by you so that you don't let it pass you by. Okay? Does that make sense? So I'd like you just to jot down on the back of your paper or tent again, maybe just 3 things that you learned today from this opportunity or from this lesson that we talked to you about. But I do hope that you leave here with the sense that all of you have opportunities in life, and you will learn some skills through the rest of your curriculum here of whether or not it was a window of opportunity that you should move forward with, or that you need to take a pause for a minute because maybe it's low impact, low feasibility. Okay? Anything else that you want to say?
No, that's it.
Do we make it?
Yep.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you guys very much again for coming. And I'm not going to collect these things that you're writing down, so you don't need to worry, but I just want you to think about maybe 3 take-home points that you got from this lesson today. And hopefully one of the things in there would be that you had a little bit better understanding of the nature of an opportunity. So thank you for getting up so early on a Saturday morning to be with us and help us learn how to teach this. And I apologize too for notes. This is the first time that I have taught this material, so often I do not have notes in front of me or be looking for reference. But to stay organized, and especially with team teaching, to be able to know where each of us are going to work in here, it was helpful for me to have a little bit of notes. So I'm sorry if I was not necessarily making eye contact with each of you throughout the session, but thank you for giving me the chance to practice my teaching.
Let's give a hand to the